everybody, and welcome to the final Hot Sauce of Oblivion cook for Player 2. We are, of course, promoting the Hot Sauce of Oblivion. We had a competition, people wrote in, gave us their recipes, I cooked them on video. Guess what? We've done all those. Now it's my turn. The final one is my choice, and it's going to be a beauty. It's the biggest video we're going to do, probably. Not the most complicated, but certainly the one I'm most passionate about. Now, you can win your own bottle of the Hot Sauce of Oblivion. This is the last chance you've got to do it through Player 2. Tell us where Mayroon's Day Gone is in the video. You can see him. Let us know in the comment field below this post on Player 2, and you could win your own bottle of the Hot Sauce of Oblivion, which is very cool. It is a nice hot sauce, but it is very, very hot. It lives up to its name. So what we're going to do is approximately 7-ish hour cook, 7.5 hours, and it starts tonight, and then we'll keep going tomorrow. So what we're going to do is pork ribs. Now, I love ribs. My kids love ribs. Everyone I know, except for possibly my wife, really likes pork ribs. So we're going to do pork ribs. We're going to smoke them low and slow. So it's a big all-day thing. Don't worry, you won't have to watch the whole thing on the video. But the first things first is the night before you do anything like this, you need to get your meat prepped. So we're going to do the rub and prep the ribs, and then we're going to put them in the fridge overnight so the flavours from the rub go into the ribs. So there's lots of different ways to do ribs. There's, like, if you go look at American barbecue, there's saucy ribs, there's dry rub ribs, there's combinations of the two, there's slow ribs, there's fast ribs, there's a whole bunch of ways to do them. How I'm going to do them is with a rub first, and then at the end of the cooking cycle, I'm going to actually baste them in a sauce, which will get nice and sticky. So we get that kind of sticky end. And the sauce is where we're going to actually use the Hot Sauce of Oblivion. First up, we're going to make our rub. Now this is kind of a rub I've chopped and changed from various different rubs that I've used. The base comes a lot from talking to a friend of Player 2's and general all-round good guy, Jason Imms. He sent me a recipe for a rub, and I use a lot of that in here, but I've changed it up just a touch to, you know, suit the way I do things. So, pretty much it's equal parts, all of these ingredients. It's pretty simple. We've got brown sugar. You can adjust that how you want. Paprika. We've got coarse black pepper. You can crack the pepper if you want, but that'll bust your wrist. I reckon buying this stuff's great. We've got granulated garlic. We've got chicken salt. Good old chicken salt, trust me. It's great. And then we've got cumin as well. So we're going to mix all those in the bowl and get them ready. So we give it a good old start with the paprika. We're probably going to use half this jar. I've run out of my big jar of paprika, so we're using the small one. But that's all right. There we are. Now we're going to use the brown sugar. Now, of course, brown sugar always lumps up like this, as you can see when it's kept in the cupboard. You can still break it up, still perfectly fine for rubs. So we're just going to about the same amount again. Remember, you're going to have to cover however much ribs you've got. So just remember, equal parts, all these ingredients, no matter how big or small you want to go. Garlic. Get the granulated garlic. Makes life easier. Chicken salt. It's an odd one, right? But trust me on this one. Chicken salt in there, and then cumin. Now, if you want a bit more colour, what you can do, and it doesn't matter if you go a bit over on the cumin, because that's a really nice complement to the ribs. If you want more colour, you can use more paprika. If you want a different colour, you can use turmeric, which adds a lot of colour without adding too much and messing with the flavour too much. Apparently it's really good for you too, but I'm not sure that much of it will get in. I'm just going to add a bit more paprika. And then we're just going to stir that all up with a fork. Make sure it's all nice and mixed and all those lumps of brown sugar are all broken up. I mean, a lot of it will break up when you rub it on, but you kind of want to break them up now so it all mixes together nicely. And just looking at it, I might need just that bit more paprika because it's looking... Oh, I didn't put the pepper in either. Bonehead. The pepper in that. I'm wondering what was missing. Breaking up all those lumpy bits. I'm going to add last little bit of paprika in this, just to make sure. Now it doesn't matter, like if you make a lot of this stuff, that's cool. It's better to go over than under, and you can actually keep it, anything you don't use, in a jar, in the cupboard. Pre-made, ready to go. Better than buying your own. You can buy your own rubs, and there's some really good ones out there, don't get me wrong. This is an easy one to do yourself if you feel like it. And it keeps for ages in the cupboard, so you can just put it in a jar, as long as it's airtight. This will keep, and you can just wag it on a bit of steak or pork chop or something like that. Chicken. Excuse me, got a bit of pepper up my nose. Alright. What we're going to do now is prep the ribs. We'll just put that aside. I'll give you a good look at that colour there. That's the rub there. I like it. I'm just breaking more of that brown sugar lumps up. It's a good colour. And it'll go lovely on this pork. Alright. So, we've got our pork ribs. Like that. I've bought it from Costco. They make really good cut. You know, wherever you get your nice ribs. Try and get ribs with better meat on them. They stand up to the smoking better. Sometimes the ribs can be a bit thin. And they're no good. So I've got 3 of us eating, so I'm going to actually portion this into 3 parts straight away. Now, I want more than the kids, of course. We're actually going to use the meat cleaver. It just makes things that bit easier. So we count the ribs out. We've got 8. And then, yeah, that's about right. About evens. So we go, meat cleaver just makes the job a bit easier, right? 3 good bits of rib there. So we don't need that anymore. But we do need to do a little trick that I only recently learned, okay? Excuse me. I didn't know about this until recently, but there is a thin membrane on the back of the rib here. And that membrane is basically impenetrable. You can't get flavour through it. I only found this out recently. So what you can do with a small knife is, it's easier with a small knife, but I'll just do this one. It's just get the corner of it like that. You see how it comes off there? And then, if your fingers aren't too slippery, you can slowly pull that off like that, and you're left with that. Now that stuff is like impenetrable. Flavour can't get through it at all. So you get rid of it. I only just learnt this recently. So I've been doing it wrong for ages. Good little tip there. But yeah, what that'll do is it'll allow smoke and flavour from the rubs to even get on the underside and the top of the ribs. So we do that on all the pieces of ribs. So we just cut. If you're good, like I did last time, you can get the whole piece in one. Sometimes you can't, but just pull that off. There. Come on, you mongrel. It's coming off. There we go. There, that bit's off. Into the bin. And we've got last one. This one's a bit of a wonky bit of rib, a little bit of excess meat, so it might be a bit hard to get it all, but we'll see how we go. Obviously, this is not something for someone that doesn't like touching meat. But, here we go. Get that little bit. This one's a bit harder because of the shape of the rib. But we'll do it as best we can. Actually, that little bit extra meat there is just making it harder. There we go. It's a bit there. I'm going to get as much of it off as we can. Because like I said, it's a flavour inhibitor. There we go. I think I've got it. You can always just scrape the knife along the bone, and that'll tell you if you've got it. That's a real slow way to do things. So it comes off on the knife there. But when you get a bit of a wonky bit of meat like this one, sometimes you've just got to... But the rest of the fat there that you see is really good. You want that. There we go. This last little bit there. Beautiful. All right. So, this is where things get a bit messy. So I get myself a Tupperware tub. So we want to put our ribs in as many as we can to start with. So we're going to get 2 in the bottom there, like that. We're going to just be generous. Don't skimp on the rub. Doesn't matter if it falls out. This is why we're using a Tupperware container. All right, give it a good old rub into the back there. Make sure you push it in as much as you can, all along the sides. Get it in there. It should be nice and covered like that. Then repeat on the top. So once again, grab a handful. We'll just use our hands. Get it in there. Break up that brown sugar again. And the brown sugar helps to caramelise it, but get that in there. Give it a good rub. Like this. All around the sides. Get it all in there, and you can use the stuff on the bottom to get in. Like I said, it doesn't hurt to put extra on. It's gonna be good, trust me. Just put it there. There, beautiful. Last piece, and then just repeat. I'm just going to use a bit at the bottom here. There we go. Beautiful. All done. So there you have it. We're just about done for the night. What I'm going to do now, after I wash my hands, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually vacuum seal them. Now, if you don't have a vacuum sealer, that's fine. I'm not going to do that on video. But you can wrap them up in some Glad wrap or a Ziploc bag or something like that. As much oxygen out of it as possible, because that helps to add flavour. The more oxygen that's in contact with the meat, the less flavour the meat gets. So if you can vacuum seal it and take all the oxygen out, it comes up really good. So what we're going to do is we're going to vacuum seal this. We're going to put it in the fridge overnight, and then we're going to start the cook tomorrow morning. I'll catch you then. Alrighty, we've got our ribs now. They've been in the fridge overnight with the rub that we made last night on. What we do now is we pull them out of the fridge about an hour before you put them on the smoker, because you want it to come to room temperature before you put it on the smoker, so the meat's not contracting and expanding, and it makes it a bit tougher and it makes it harder for flavour to get in. So once it's up to room temperature, your smoker's at your level you want. I'm sitting at about 110, 120. It's perfect for ribs. We're going to cook it in there in the first step for 3 hours. So we're just going to open these up. Just going to open them all up. Like I said last night, you don't have to use a vacuum sealer if you don't have one. It is the best way because all the oxygen's out and the flavour gets added in easier. But if you don't, just a Tupperware container or wrap it in Glad wrap and get as much oxygen as you can out. So we're just going to put these on. Now, as you can see, I've got a little heat diffuser on the bottom there above the coals. So that's the side we're going to put the ribs on. We don't want them on direct heat. We want them on the side that hasn't got direct heat. So that's why I got the diffuser in. So we're just going to put those in like that. We're putting the rib side down. We want the meat on top. Alright, we're just going to shuffle them a little bit so we get them in there. Beautiful. Just the right amount of room. Now, what we're going to do is put the smoking chips on. I've got a mix of hickory and cherry wood that I've been soaking in a cider. You can soak it in beer, you can soak it in wine, but cider's pretty good for pork, you know. Apple and pork, it's a pretty traditional flavour, right? So we're going to just break up the coals a little bit, and then I'm going to throw just a good handful of these chips on. Get them in there like that, just like that. And I'm going to close it up and let it do a thing. Now, 3 hours later, I might check it about 2 hours and see if it needs more smoke. But after 3 hours, the meat won't actually take any more smoke flavour. So at that point, we're actually going to wrap it and just to protect the meat so it doesn't get overcooked in there. So the smoke's starting to come up already, as you can see. That'll go through the meat, and then we'll be good to go at about the 3 hour mark to start wrapping. Alright, we're back here. It's been 3 hours, and what we're going to do now is, as you can see, they're done there for the 3 hours in the smoke. It's quite dark, don't be afraid of that. We're going to put it on 2 sheets of foil, and I'm just going to close that while I'm doing this. It takes a little bit. I'm just going to cut a big knob of butter. I'm going to put that under the ribs. And I'm going to put a little bit on top of the ribs, like that. And then we're going to make it up like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a beer. I'm going to pour some beer in the bottom of that foil over the ribs like so. Keep that up like that. Fold that up like that so we make a nice tight parcel full of beer and butter. And that is going back in there like so. So we'll do that again for all the others. So 2 sheets of foil. Put a knob of butter underneath. Put the ribs on. Butter on top. Like that. Beer and make that into the bowl like we did there. So it's like that. Nice little bowl. Beer on it. Good bit of beer. Fold it up. This is why you need 2 lots, because the beer will start to leak out of there. Might put an extra one on, that's just leaking a little bit. You can never have too much foil. parcel. One more to do. Now it doesn't matter what beer you use, whatever's in the fridge, whatever someone's left at your house that you don't like, then you use that. That's what I'm doing. I'm using Pop's beer, and no one likes it, so it's going into the ribs. Put that last bit there. Bit of butter on top. Scrape the bowl. Beer in, hold it up, oh, that one's leaking a lot, the ribs are broken through the foil, so we'll have to do another bit. That's alright. Foil in, back in, there we are, and we leave that for about another 2 hours. Alright everybody, we've wrapped the ribs with the butter and the beer, and they're just sitting on that still super low heat of about 100 degrees, no more, 100, 110. So they'll just keep cooking there for a couple of hours in that beer and butter solution, and they'll be good to go. But we need to make a sauce, right? So you could use any old, like a good quality barbecue sauce if you want to baste the ribs at the end. I like to make my own, and it's a cooking thing, so we may as well make our own. So I've got a nice big pot, just there. And then we're just gonna throw in a whole bunch of things. So I've got 2 onions, and remember, none of this has to be chopped finely. You can do it nice and quick, because you're gonna blitz it at the end. Now to make this, you do need a stick blender. I don't recommend making sauces in a normal blender, because the hot will make it explode out the top and you'll get a hell of a mess and you'll probably burn yourself. So we've got the onions there. So we just chop them up roughly. They can go straight in the pot. In the pot, there you go. Now some people like really sweet barbecue sauce. I'm not a massive fan of super sweet barbecue sauce. So this one won't be sweet, but you can add more brown sugar if you like. So we've got the onions in. Depending on how much you're going to make, you need a tin or 2 tins of diced tomatoes. It's an easy one to put in. That just goes in there like that. Now, must have apple cider vinegar, very important. Just a good splash. And a little bit more. This is all done by feel, and then I cook to taste. So I taste constantly as I'm cooking, as the sauce is thickening, and that'll give you an idea you need to balance the salt or the sweet or anything else. I always use a good barbecue sauce as a starter. So we've got one here. I'm just going to shake that up a bit because it needs a shake. So just as a starter to get things going. So I give that another good splash in there. On that. Good quality, you don't use Master Foods crap. Good crack of salt. Now we've got some of that rub from last night. This is a good pot for it. I'm going to put some of that in there. I'm just going to, good plop of that. Bourbon. Now you can use rum, you can use bourbon, you can use whiskey. I'm using bourbon because someone left some here and I don't drink bourbon. But it's good in sauce. Excuse my dishwasher. So I'm going to put the rest of this bottle in. So it's about half a bottle of bourbon. Lots. Yeah. to put another shake of cumin in. Like that. Now here's where we get to our sweet components. So we already got the bourbon, which actually cooks up reasonably sweet. So I'm not going to put too much in. I'm just going to put a little bit of brown sugar. And then the main sweetness I'm going to get is from some maple syrup. Now I really like maple syrup in cooking. I think it's great. It doesn't get like overly sweet like sugar does, but it gives you a nice, like almost smoky flavour in things. So I like maple syrup. That's going to be our sweet component. Good stuff of that. Now here's where we get the spice, the Hot Sauce of Oblivion. Here we go. I'm going to give it a good shake. There we go. Good chunk of that in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put that on the heat, bring it up to the boil, let it boil for about 5 minutes, then we turn it down to simmer and cook it for ages. I'm actually going to put some more water in there too, just to give it a bit more. But yeah, so we're going to do that, and then I will show you what happens when it starts to boil. Alright, the sauce is in the pot. As you can see, it's steaming up nicely. It's come to the boil. So I don't know if you can see that there. But I'm just going to lift it up so you can see it a bit. There, like that. So that's what it looks like now. We're just going to leave that to stew. I'm going to turn it down. Give it a good stir. Oh, too bad you can't smell it. It smells really good. It's bourbon and maple are the very strong smells that you get with it. Obviously, this is really adaptable. You can use anything you like, but I really like the bourbon maple combo. So we're just going to turn that down so it's on a nice simmer, right down low. I'm going to cook that for about half an hour, just with the simmer and the lid on. Then I'm going to take the lid off and reduce the liquid down till it starts getting a bit thick. And then I'm going to get the stick blender and blitz it so it makes everything nice and smooth. So all the onion and tomato gets blitzed up in amongst it and it becomes part of the sauce. So stay with us and we'll get to that point soon. Alright, the sauce has been cooking for about half an hour, 45 minutes. As you can see, it's thickened up a bit, got nice and chunky there. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to blitz it. So we're going to make it nice and smooth. So I turned the heat off. Don't do this while you got the heat on. You get splashes. We're just going to that's all we need to do. So, as you can see there, blitzed all the onion and tomato up. So I'm going to cook that for a little bit longer till it's nice and thick, and then the sauce will be good to go, and we cool it down before we use it. Alright, we've been in the smoker now for 2 hours in the foil, just a little bit over. It's been hovering around the 100-degree mark, which is perfect. So we're just going to leave it in the foil, but now we need to rest the meat. So if you know, resting your meat always improves the meat because it allows the meat to relax and keep the moisture when you eat it. So we're actually going to rest this for about an hour, if not longer. I'll show you how we do that without losing heat. So we're going to leave them in their foil packets. We're going to whack them in this old towel that you got here. And because it's only been 100 degrees, it's hot, but it's not going to burn you if you just quickly touch it. So we're going to pat that in here. We're going to wrap that up as well as we can in one towel. Then we're going to put a second towel down. Pop that in there and wrap it again. Wrap it up nice and tight. So it's in here like this. And then, that's your meat. It's going to go straight into an esky. Lid down. And there you have it. So what we're going to do now is leave that in there for an hour, hour and a half. Before we bring it out, we're going to sauce it on a little bit higher heat here. So we're going to put the sauce on it, caramelise that sauce, and it'll be ready to serve. Alright, we're here. They've been resting for a bit over an hour now in the towel. The ribs, getting ready to unwrap them. And then we're going to put them back on the grill to heat them up with some sauce. And we're going to caramelise that sauce and get it nice and sticky before we serve. So here's the moment of truth, really. This is the problem with low and slow a lot of the times is you can't see if things are going wrong. But I can still feel the warmth in those towels, which is just goes to show that's been in there for an hour and a half. We're in Canberra. It's cold outside, so there's a bit of leakage actually through the towels, and that's why you use old towels. All right. Here are our parcels of ribs, still very warm. All right, moment of truth, people. Oh, look at that. Perfect. The butter and the beer has made it all nice and moist. Look at that. Oh, it's pulling away from the bone beautifully. Oh, I better try that bit. Yeah, rock and roll. So now we're going to put these on the grill. I'm just going to unwrap them all first. Oh yeah, oh yeah, look at that, oh yummy. I really like ribs. And the third bit. Yeah, beautiful. All right, so we're gonna whack it on the grill. It's nice and hot, it's at about 200 now. So we've got to be careful here because the meat will come apart. So we're only going to do this as short as possibly can, so we don't want to overcook them. So we're doing it off the heat again. I'm going to just wrap that up, get that out of the road. Get that out of the road. We're going to bring our sauce over. So this is the sauce we made. It's nice and thick now. We've cooked it right down, and then we're going to paste that on. Ooh, we've got a bit of foil on that rib. That's all right, got rid of it. And be generous, super generous. Doesn't matter if you spill it over. Like that, yeah, good. Get that on there. I'm going to flip them over. Do the underside. Oh, look at those ribs, they look perfect. And I'm going to show you a little trick to really get that caramelisation up. Don't be a stingy with the sauce, yeah? So we're just going to do this a few times where we're going to baste it, flip it, baste it again, flip it again, be gentle with the ribs because they're very tender now. We want to get it all in there, all over there. Beautiful. I can feel that heat coming off there. It's quite hot. Now, this is where I'm going to show you the little trick to get the real caramelisation up on this rib. Blowtorch, people. It's good stuff with the barbecue. Don't need it for welding or anything, for barbecue. Now you want to keep your distance and move quickly. And you want to heat that sauce up. Until it starts to bubble. You'll see it bubbling. Don't leave it on the same spot because you'll burn it. You always got to move it. See, it's starting to bubble there. Lovely. That's going to caramelise up nicely, and we're going to do it on all of them. From a different angle. Beautiful. Now we're going to flip. Stay. Yeah. Give the underside a bit of a blast. And we'll be good to serve. And there you have it. Ribs are done. Give me 5 minutes, we're going to plate this bad boy up and eat it. Alright, the final product here and ready to taste. I have once again got my resident taste tester Ashley itching to try these ribs. He's been watching me all day make them. They're all good, but first let's just get a look at how easy they come off the bone. Look at that nice little smoke ring there. Lovely. Just look at that. Yummo. Alright. Ashman, ribs. Now I've served them with chips, sweet potato chips, and a nice little Asian salad. Good?
Yeah.
It's the goods?
Yeah.
How spicy is the sauce?
Not spicy.
Not spicy? I could have put more hot sauce in it?
Probably.
Probably. Alright. I'm just going to put a little bit more on there. I've got plenty of this sauce left. Any leftover sauce, just whack it in a bottle, in a jar, keep it in the fridge. It'll last for a while. Alright, let's do this. Nice big hunk. Look at it just pull off the bone there. Look at that. That's rock and roll right there. I love cooking ribs. I really do. And getting them like this is just so satisfying. They're just coming off the bone. Like, look at that. Just coming off beautifully. Pork's lovely. Really nice. So yeah, that's it for our Hot Sauce of Oblivion competitions. The last cook, this was my choice. Don't forget you can enter at player2.net.au to win your own bottle of the Hot Sauce of Oblivion. This is the last chance. And we may do more cooking videos in the future. I don't know. If someone can convince me, I might be convinced, but I won't be doing one a week again because it is a lot of work. But thank you for joining me for these videos. It's been a lot of fun. And I hope you maybe try some of the recipes out. The ribs one takes a bit more than usual, but it's something I really love to do, so I thought I'd share it with everyone. So head over to player2.net.au, check out news, reviews, previews, podcast videos, and opinion pieces. Make sure you like and subscribe the video down below. It is very much appreciated and it helps us out. And we do have a Patreon if you feel so inclined. But you don't have to. But thank you for joining me. My name is Matt Houston, and I will catch you next time on Player 2 Cooks somewhere in the future. Cheers!